And my boyfriend thinks there's something about the way I look that makes other men think I'm flirting. He thinks I look too sexy.
Should we both move in with him until he decides which one to marry? That could go on forever.
And every time the phone rings, it's one of his ex-girlfriends who needs his help. And every time they call, he goes.
And my whole life, I've been attracted to men's behinds.
That's how we met.
If you're in love and you have a problem, tell it to the love experts. Joanne Worley, William Shatner, Elaine Joyce, Jeff Edwards, and the love machine himself, Bill Cullen.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Jack. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Oh, I finally got out of love machine I am. Thank you and welcome to the Love Experts. We are very happy to have you with us. Before we start, let me suggest that if there's anyone out there who has never been in love, now is the time for you to switch to another channel. Okay, he's gone. But now, you just turned back to see what we said about it. But now, yeah, and you know what's wrong with you. Back in the closet. Now, for the rest of you, let me say this. Don't go away because you're about to see and hear some things that will intrigue you, we hope will amuse you, we think they might even shock you, and prove that if you can fall in love, you certainly will know how to get in trouble. Now, before we meet our first guest, think about it. I didn't the first time.
That's why you read it that way.
Exactly right. And then, before we meet our first guest, I would like you to meet each of our love experts. And they are going to, as we see them, they're going to give us their own one-line definition of love. Joanne Worley.
Love is finally getting married after living with Roger for 6 years. Trust me.
They're really going to do this.
Yeah.
William Shatner.
We really have to define this. Love is a swamp. It'll suck you under, but it'll spit you out.
The sweet senator.
I'm a love expert. After the show, I want you to direct me to that swamp. Elaine Joyce.
Love is living with Roger and not marrying him.
We have a tart as an expert here.
Jeff Edwards, get us out of this.
Mine.
Jeff.
Yeah. Well, as a tennis player, I guess love is what two people are supposed to have before they score.
Okay, now the rest of you can tune out. Pamela, we have a fascinating dilemma for you right here and now. Are you all ready? You know, lots of women have their problems with married men. Right now, we're going to try, with your permission, to tackle the problems of a single girl and the married man. Jack.
She's a car salesperson, Bill, from Santa Monica, California. Donna Schultz.
Hello, Donna. Come on in and have yourself a seat. Donna Schultz?
Yes.
Troubled with married men in what sense?
Well, it seems like lately the only men I meet are married men.
I see. You haven't met any single ones. Have you gotten serious with married men?
Unfortunately, one time, yes.
Okay, now, do you... I've been asked to have you speak up a little bit, especially when you tell that married man off or whatever. But do they admit they're married, or are they surreptitious and try to put themselves up as single?
They never admit it at first.
Oh, so
eventually,
that's the problem.
they admit it. Yes.
They don't
what my
tell
problem
you.
is, I want to know how you can tell a married man.
You ask him.
Simple.
You say, are you married?
You say that, do you?
I do. I say, are you a married man? Yes.
And he says, not necessarily.
Right.
And then I say, then you're married.
Oh, wait.
My wife is married.
Yeah, that's another line. Okay.
You can recognize a married man right away. You can hide it right off the bat.
Except for the sun, where the sunburn is around the finger. The little white skin around that area will do it. Except a lot of men aren't wearing rings.
No,
you
they
can
don't.
tell a married man because he's the one who always says nobody understands me. Every time a guy says that, a single guy, a lot of people understand.
Right.
Every time a guy says, nobody understands me, he's married.
You ask them. I mean, you have asked them. In other words, they don't always tell you the truth. Is that the idea?
Right.
They hold
and they
it.
never say it.
So
right.
what
You know,
actually...
I don't like to go up to a person when I'm meeting them and say, are you married? First
No, that
thing.
scared
do
them
it.
off right
Do
away.
it. Trust me.
Yes?
Well,
Okay.
Do that.
one of the questions you should ask is this used car that you're buying a second car?
Good point. You can rate him according to the blue book, but that, I guess, is another story. Elaine.
Or you could just say, oh, hey, Tom, let's say you meet a man, his name is Tom, and say, oh, Tom, there's a phone call from your wife. And
Right.
he'll say, really? How did she? Oh,
Right.
say.
Gotcha.
Good idea.
Or go where you only sell sports cars, preferably one-seaters. Motorbikes, things
That's a
like
good
that. Chances are I can't lug a family on a motorbike.
When you meet a guy and you just establish a relationship, you have to get in touch with each other some way, right?
Right.
Get his number and make sure and tell him.
they're
I'll
too
call
quick
him.
for that.
Oh no, y'all
Yes,
call
they
him.
are.
Married
They're
man.
smart.
What's wrong with a married man? He has a wife.
Oh, God.
Do I have to tell this to you?
But I was looking that way.
Oh, all right.
Would you, Bill? Well, it's hard to put it that way.
Would I go with a married
No,
man?
she
Is
already-
that your question?
Not a bad one. No, but I mean, if you dated a girl, this is hypothetical, Bill. I'm not saying you would.
I accept it in the spirit it's meant.
All right. Would you admit that you were married?
No.
Why not? We're solving her problem. That's
I wouldn't go and date a girl and say I'm married. That would be the height of...
That's
she
right.
would say you're married and stupid.
That's exactly right. Okay, Jeff, do you hold with Bill? I mean, if you, hypothetically, you're dating a girl, are you going to volunteer the information that you're married? Elaine?
Well, married men can be nice, you know. I mean, they can be fun and interesting and things like that. And you can get nice gifts and things like that, and then dump them.
If you weren't
That's
married,
awful.
if you weren't so happily married,
I
would
did.
you go out with a married man who was still living with his wife?
No,
So you'd want him to tell the truth.
I wouldn't do that to another woman. I
Okay.
mean, that's just a rule that I have because I wouldn't want it done to me.
Most of the girls I
Exactly.
know go by that rule, truly.
But, you know, so any single guys just, no. I'm kidding.
Joanne, I don't even have to ask you. With your,
Oh, well,
with your morale and your high morality, Joanne wouldn't go...
Loud voice.
Yes, and all that. She wouldn't go out with a married man even if it were Roger, who's married to her.
Exactly.
That's
With
right.
my own husband, I wouldn't go out.
So I guess, I don't know if that's a solution. All I can say about it, Donna, it's some advice. Hope we've helped.
Thank
Doubt
you.
that we have. Don't go too far away. We'll be back in just a minute. Hey, now, when you see this girl and hear her complaint, you're not going to believe it's possible. Jack?
Right. She's a receptionist from San Jose, Bill, looking for expert advice. Cheryl Looney.
Hello, Cheryl. Sit down and be comfortable. I can't believe that Cheryl ever had a problem in this world. Certainly none that I started. Cheryl, what is the story? What do you want to talk to us about?
Well, I've been married 4 months, and my husband doesn't pay any attention to me any longer. And I've tried everything.
Wait, let me get this straight, because you're speaking a little softly. But what you said, and I don't think I heard right, was you've been married 4 months and your husband doesn't pay any attention to you?
Not very often.
Okay. Now, you've been married 4 months.
We
How-
lived together for a year, and everything was just fantastic.
Oh, wait a minute. When you lived together before you were married? Oh. Oh, good. But then you got married, and he stopped paying attention.
He's just comes home with his cocktail and sits in front of the television set, and by 9:30 he's out.
It's a very sad moment. The man's been dead for 2 months. I gather you tried, because everything was normal when you were not married, when you were just living together. I gather you tried to excite his attention or affect his risibilities, do you?
Well, I used to work part-time, so I would come home and take a bath and smell just fantastic and make candlelight dinners. And
Uh-huh.
then that didn't really work. So I switched to the night dresses.
Night dresses.
No night dresses.
No night dresses. Wait a minute. Let me set. Let me set the scene if for no one else, for me. You're not talking about the night dresses necessarily at night, but you talk about you walk around the house in night dresses?
Mm-hmm.
And no night dresses?
Well,
And you don't turn him on?
not really. He's more interested in television.
I think, Cheryl, we have to establish what you consider a little attention.
Well,
Are we talking about hugs and kisses?
no, I'm talking about more than 3 times a week.
More than 3.
There is a 7-day week, and there's 7 days.
And you want at least once a day an extreme tight hug. Is that correct? Did your husband hug you every day when you were living together?
Oh, super romantic.
Every single day?
Oh, yeah?
Well, maybe he's just one of those men that we know so well who just like,
What are you looking at me for?
well, touch, woman, you as well. Who just like to live, and then when they get married,
Uh-huh.
then the fun
They
is gone for
retire.
them.
Uh-huh.
They retire. Maybe you're feeding them too much.
Well, I've gotten fatter, so maybe that's why. We eat a lot.
Wherever you put the weight on, I wouldn't worry.
Yeah.
No, he hasn't gotten thinner. Not enough
Well,
exercise.
as you say, 7 days in a week. God made the whole world in 6.
What does your husband do?
He works in advertising.
Is it very
It's very
exhausting?
strenuous.
Oh, it must be.
It
He
didn't
holds
used
up
to
the
be.
billboard on Sunset. What's he doing? Is he a creative man, pardon the expression, in advertising?
No, he represents like Los Angeles Magazine. and
Let me
stuff.
ask you this,
Would he be
Sheriff.
interested in any sort of partnership or arrangement?
For after hours.
You say that you have mentioned that you greet him at the door in like a short night dress or nothing at all. May I ask, just for my own personal taste, do you wear high heels then?
No, I haven't tried the high
High heels are sensei. You haven't tried high
heels. Maybe
heels?
garters or something. I could get
Garters
into
are
garters.
black garters, yes. Black garters, and what I like is a waist pincer with a little ruby right in here. I'll tell you, really. High heels. Do they still make springalators?
Yes, Hollywood.
Oh, they're sensational.
What's a springulator?
They
Next
leave
to
the-
Joan Crawford's
That's
shoes.
right. If you buy them for the guy, they got a little thing in there, and if you're the guy, you push the button and they spring her right into your arms.
But enough of your fantasies.
No. well, don't you think that would? And none of that turns him on.
Seriously, just for a second, Cheryl, you're a bit awe-inspiring, and I
thank
think,
you. My.
but really, I think maybe you're putting too much pressure on him. There's a certain point where a man feels that he's forced to perform, and at that point he kind of turns off because it's a challenge now rather than something that's kind of fun. And
You're so
something to
right. You know something also? They like to go out and hunt. Men have that thing about hunting. So when he comes home high.
Or at least if you're not hiding, leave a scent.
I've
Right,
tried
and
that.
arrows and things,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, I think go the
You're getting
reverse.
hot, things
Yeah,
like
go the
that.
reverse. Say that I just have such a headache tonight.
I don't feel
do
well.
that and just see how it
I
feels.
think that the key, though, is something that Jeff suggested. Stress the positive and not the negative. Encourage him in the 3 times a week that he is so huggable. And just tell him what a wonderful hugger he is. And perhaps work him up to a 4th day.
It's sad.
It is sad.
sad.
It's sad because it's sad in more ways than you out there or you there will ever realize, because 3 times a week is 2.5 over my budget. And I mean, look at that waist pincer and a little garment in here. I guess what you want to know.
Yes, should I,
I know what I'd like to tell you, but about how beautiful you are. What you want to do is go back, just plain living with him again, and hope the urge, the drive returns, or stay married to him and try to reform him. Is that what you'd
Well,
like?
I would like to stay married to him and try to reform him.
Okay.
One or the other.
But you don't want to leave him cold
No.
like that. 3 days a week. Okay. Joanne, what should she do?
Oh, you could definitely. Living together is boring. I mean, it's not boring. It's wonderful. But I mean, to go back once you've been married, which is really wonderful.
How can you do that? I don't think you can go back.
So consider the loss of 3 days just a little payment for the marriage. That's all. And work on it.
Bill, you look worried.
I was not worried. Fantasizing, I guess, is a...
I was doing that all
Funny, you entered my fantasy in the winter. I think that you really must encourage him and discourage yourself a little. Other than that, that's it. Work on it.
Try the daughters.
Didn't they have something in the Army that they gave men or something that she could take?
A form of niter. known as saltpeter.
That's Sherman cigarettes, isn't it? No, it's difficult. I would, as I said, I would just try to find something that turns him on. That or go cold showers for you, or a lot of ballet classes, exercise. Just forget about it. It's like Joanne said, though. It's just a payment. If he's a good guy, you know, you marry for better or worse, and
you totally throw the garter belt, the premise out.
Oh no, I'll do all that.
But let him go after you a little more. Maybe you're too available.
I think I'll try that.
Jeff?
Well, I go the other way. I'd say get rid of the garter belts and everything, because I remember what you said, that you watch television a lot. Have you ever decided or thought about dressing like Laverne and Shirley? No, but I think you're
Barbara
pushing.
Walters.
I think you're pushing too hard. Lay back a little bit.
What?
I say,
That's what she That's the problem.
He said lay back a little bit. So I guess all of us say, don't go back to the way you were. Stick it out. Do the very best you can. Try to bring him. And I'll tell you what. If you keep him at 3 a week long enough, as years go on, believe me, it'll be ample. Okay, here's the girl in the center of the eternal triangle, and she's looking for the right angle. Jack?
Here she comes, Bill. She's a stewardess from Houston, Texas, Shauna Sullivan.
Hello, Shauna. There you go. You're a pretty one, you are.
Thank you.
Okay, eternal triangle in what sense? I'm all ears.
Well, I hope you can understand my problem. It's really quite confusing. I have 2 boyfriends, one of which is a pro ball player, one of which is my ace in the hole. I've had him for ages. And I guess you would say I had a confrontation between the 2 because when my pro ball player came into town, I went to the game, and afterwards a bunch of us went out to eat and had a lot of drinks, and I decided not to go home. And it was a little late, so I stayed in his hotel room.
The pro ball players?
Yes,
Hotel room, yeah.
Yes, well, anyway, I kind of forgot about my steady.
Oh, sure.
Obviously, he didn't forget about me, because about 6 in the morning, the phone rings, and it's him.
Yeah, where was he?
He was downstairs in the lobby.
Oh,
so, needless to say, there was a confrontation. I really can't decide what to do if, because both of them are very angry. My pro ball player, his ego is hurting him,
Sure.
and my steady, his ego is killing him.
Why
and
have-
I don't know what to do.
Are you serious about marrying either one of these guys, or do you want to keep them both?
Well, one is already married, so that
One is
Now,
You're
I'm
going
glad.
with a married man.
Yes, I'm glad.
What kind of guest do you have on this show?
I just went with him for a few hours.
Just a few hours. Which one's married? The ace in the hole, or the steady?
My other one.
The pro ball
The one
player?
that I want.
I don't want to ask names or anything like that, but
Yeah, I wouldn't tell you.
Who's he play for?
Well, I can't say that. He no longer plays with California. He did at one time.
He played for one of California.
position?
Baseball or football? All of them.
Missionary. I don't know. I really don't.
You don't. What sport? You don't even want to tell me that.
He was
Don't say it.
I won't.
You tarts really stick together.
And you took my mind off what I had, whatever I was going to say. Thank you.
I got the answer.
You got an answer or a question? What do you want?
She's got to drop the steady because anybody who will call a pro ball player's hotel room at 6 o'clock in the morning when he's got a girl up there is wacko.
Yeah.
Unless he's a monkey.
Either that or he loves me very much. That's what the whole problem is.
Yeah, either that or he's a pro tiddlywink player.
Well, let's find out about the steady is married.
No. The other is married.
The pro ball
player is married, and I am very much. He's like my white knight.
What appeals to you about the pro ball player?
Everything.
Oh, wow.
No, he's like my white knight. He's
You're
really
a white
something.
knight and you're ace in the hole. White knight, that's what it is.
That narrows it down.
I got it, Bill. A white knight. The Scranton White Knights. It's a football team.
Shauna, I can't understand. A pretty girl like you, why do you have to take another woman's husband?
Well, obviously, in the end, I really didn't. I tried very hard, but I didn't.
Is he still living with his wife? Except when he's on the road?
Exactly, that's it.
She's after a good time. Why do you fault her for
Yeah,
having
well,
a
I
good
really
time?
tried not to fall. It just kind of fell. It just happened.
Actually, the only reason I was trying to find out what team he was playing for in his position, I want to go and console his wife. I thought that's the least I could do to help Shauna with a problem.
Well, the real issue here is whether you want something steady and solid as against something brilliant and temporary.
And strong.
That's it.
And wonderful and fun, exciting. Whether it's worth the effort, I guess, is mainly what it is.
Okay.
Both are temporary, right? Really, in a way?
Yeah,
because you're not going to stay with your ace in the hole until you find something better.
True.
And you can't have the white knight.
True.
Which is probably what makes him a white knight.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that leaves you free for tonight, I suppose.
Is your wife working late?
Out for those carpenters. What do you say, Joanne?
How about this? Do you know the astrology signs? Are you into that?
Hey, good idea.
Slightly.
Get their charts made up, see which one is the best, and drop the other one. And tell that married man not to lie to his wife, either to leave her or to be with you, but not to play that game. That is so dumb, because someday you're going to be an old woman, and some little girl's going to do that to you.
You know, there's a question. There's a question that comes up, and that is how your ace in the hole knew where you were.
I really don't know. That was the whole problem.
Because it sounds to me that if you've always had him and you kind of get that feeling for him, I think you're right. I think he really does love you.
Yeah.
And that might be the way you want to go.
So you're saying stay with the ace in the hole, right?
Yeah.
And what do you say, Elaine?
I say stay with the ace in the hole and keep meeting this guy, only go to different hotels.
How simple you make it.
That's it, isn't it? That's the answer.
Boring.
What do you want?
His arm goes.
Are you having a good time with both?
Yeah,
with the intrigue?
Yes, I really did up until the
time. Or would you
time.
rather clear it up because you're full of anxiety? Your eye is twitching and your right arm fades every so often.
I think it's time to just do the right thing, make a decision.
Okay.
Well, then stay with your ace in the hole.
What do you say?
Definitely. Leave the married man alone.
Right. And
He'll only hurt you.
To sum it up, we all agree, stay with the ace in the hole. The other guy has to play ball tomorrow. We'll be back then. And I'll never play ball again if I go back there. Okay, now it's your turn. All of you here in the studio have been listening to us patiently, and we appreciate that. And right now, we would like to hear from you. If you have a comment or question for any one of our love experts up here, and that includes me, step up to the microphone and fire away, in the figurative sense, of course. So, lady right over there, stage left, if you would, you have a question. To whom would you like to address it?
I want to ask William Shatner a question.
Hang in there, Bill.
Hang in there.
Most women are expected to forgive their husbands when they cheat, and they usually do. If your wife cheated on you, would you be able to forgive her?
What a good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, terrific question.
Yeah.
That's a great
Bill,
question.
Take it away.
I am a declaimer of the Equal Rights Amendment, Declaimer. I like the idea.
He likes it. Oh, you and your
But
big
in
word.
real fact, in real life, there's a double standard.
Yeah.
Well, I am a product of both my intellect and my emotion. My intellect say, hey, we're all equal. My emotions say, hey, no.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So you wouldn't.
It would be very difficult for me to
Well, Bill,
live with that fact.
By the same token, seriously now.
Seriously.
And I know you and I know your wife and you're lovely people. You would not forgive her. You would find it impossible.
I would find it difficult. I would ultimately forgive her.
Would you
just about
expect her
anything.
to forgive you?
Yes, absolutely. Right.
We have a woman stage left there. To whom would you like to, of whom, I do that all the time, would you like to ask this question?
To the whole panel.
Good.
I'd like to know how to get my husband to buy a waterbed. He says that it will interfere with our sex lives because there's too much give to the mattress. Is this true? I don't know anything about waterbeds.
I do.
You do?
Donna Tart might know.
No, because we don't have a waterbed.
Your husband. Oh, that's going to be very interesting.
I don't know a thing about
I would like one.
Okay.
I'd like one, though.
You'd like one?
I want one. He
and
doesn't.
you've heard that it affects the sex life.
He heard that.
Because the waterbed gives in too
Yeah,
easily.
it's bouncing and, you know.
Bouncing, I should think, would be an advantage.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I would think so, but he says no.
Just my luck, I get a waterbed, it goes sideways, and I miss.
He likes the level.
I do know this about a waterbed. You don't live in an apartment on the second floor, do you?
No.
You have to be careful because they're very heavy. Why don't you just go out and buy it and have it delivered?
I don't know.
And explain, take them to the store and have a demonstration.
You can't wear high heels? I'll tell him that.
Sharp object.
No
Okay,
sharp.
well, I won't let him wear high
Go to a
heels.
motel.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Go
You
to a
can-
motel that has a waterbed and try
Right.
it out, and if it works, tell them it works.
Hey, terrific.
That's exactly right. Yes, sir. Nice to hear from the man here.
This one's for you, Bill.
Uh-oh, not so nice.
How do you handle an oversexed woman?
Very carefully. Often. No, it's a. I must tell you an honest truth, and if anybody who knows me can tell you this is true. I have never in my life known a woman who I consider to be oversexed. Now, whether that's the value I put on their action or how I affect them, I don't know. But I'll do the best I can. I come from a big family. Okay. And you, Miss or Miss or Ms. To whom?
Well, my question is directed to the men on stage. I'd like to know if they consider a woman's mind more important than a face or a body.
Who wants to start that of you two up there? Okay, Jeff.
Well, you show me a woman with a dirty mind, and I think that's just important. No, seriously, yeah. The mind to me is more important than any of that. Absolutely. If I'm attracted to a woman, I look at a face to begin with. Physical attributes are not necessarily what attract me, but if she doesn't have a mind, then I lose all interest after a couple of days.
We'll be back after this with of interest for you. In some way, I really hope that Love Experts has helped some people out there, and certainly those with us here. And I'd like to say thank you to Joanne Worley.
Oh, I have enjoyed helping everybody so much.
You have. You're such a sweetheart. Bill Shatner.
Oh, love is like quicksand. It sucks you in, and you never seen again.
And Elaine Joyce.
Thank you. I had a wonderful time, Bill.
Thank you, Elaine. And Jeff Edwards.
I found something out tonight.
What's that?
I'm so lonely.
Join us again next time for more interesting and we hope unusual problems on the Love Experts. Thanks for being with us now. Bye. See you later. Bye-bye.